Soldier boy, I'm in it. Why me crack it? Why me roll? Why me crack that soldier boy? That Superman, that
Hello Dominators, Domination Tips, reporting right back with the next episode with our next guide. And today, let's talk about our generals we have in game. I will make a general or even an general tutorial for everyone, even for players which are below or even in the medieval and so have probably no access to the generals. I will explain in total what generals are, what kind of generals, what amount of generals you have, how you can upgrade them, what advantages or disadvantages they have. I will compare them, and at least I will give you a recommendation what's the best kind of leveling your generals, to do this equally or even to prefer some of the generals and level them faster than the others. But first, let's get a little base update about my base and let's get into the World War. Let's start with the World War. World War basically, some new stars. Basically quite feels like, I don't know, some binary system. Probably you have recognized and followed me a little bit longer, and so you have seen our former World War was against Quebec Glory, the alliance which was ranked at level 9 in the total worldwide ranking, so very strong opponents. We had 5 atomic age enemies, and so they were really overpowered, and we struggled. We really struggled, but in total we were able to get a stalemate. Nevertheless, the enemies were had a very big advantage about us. But the current World War, I don't know how this random matchmaking is working. The current enemy is the same strong like we are. Very many industrial players, some global players. So in total he's very same strong like we are, but it does not feel like, because the bases are so easy for us. My enemy was level 168, global age, no problem at all. And you see over here, I don't want to be arrogant, but see, look over here. Every one of us did his first attack, and nearly without exception we only did 5 stars. So I quite gave to my alliance loot free. All ones can do their second attack for loot, because this World War is quite over. If there are some guys of us which are not taking any more 5 stars, we can just clean up with our second attacks. So this is quite no problem, and I don't know how this matchmaking system is working. First kind with the same participants on our side, we get a very strong alliance, and now a quite in relative weak alliance, and so I don't completely understand. It's every day you are searching a new World War, it's some kind of mysterium and you don't even know what you will get. But let's stop talking about this. Let's go to my base update. You see probably my very long 12 days upgrade for my mortar is nearly finished in a little bit above 1 hour, and I will use this the citizens to do my next exploration for the next forest, because I want to get on and remove more and more forest in total, but it's getting very expensive. You see, I don't mean gold expensive, that's quite no problem, but time expensive. 9 days, and this huge amount will still and steady increase for every new part of the forest, so that's very much. You also see my walls are upgrading. I think 1 2 3 4 9 12, 14, 13. I think I have upgraded already 12 or even 13. I think 12 pieces of wall to level 12 even. And this upgrade cost 5 million per piece. And I expected this would be much harder. But in total that was very much okay. And so I'm quite happy that I could do this. Even the attacks on my base got very much less. So I get not attacked that much often, probably due to the factor of the upgrade progress of my base and the high walls. I don't know, but it feels very comfortable to not get attacked that much. And when I'm getting attacked, you see over here, the enemies are doing ridiculous. Only some gold from my town center, okay? Always stealing some food from me, but that's no problem, because I always have too much food. Just take it, I don't need it, my friends. But you see, no severe stealing of trade goods, oil or even gold. This one only put his 3 dynamites on my gold, on my oil, so I can't do anything. This guy also, he got rid of half of my base, but therefore what he used, all of his tactics and even all of his troops. That was a very weak attack because his troops were industrial mechs. My base is quite not. This one also did not get very far by using very much of his troops. So in total it feels very comfortable, but let's stop talking about this. We already have wasted 5 minutes nearly and I didn't talk about the generals. Here the generals tutorial comes, and you probably know generals are some specific units you can unlock in the game by building your castle. Your castle is a specific defensive building which you get access to in the medieval age, and when you build your castle you have access to 3 initial generals: Alexander, Cleopatra and Jeanne d'Arc. And then your castle is probably like all other defensive buildings. You can upgrade it once per age, and with every upgrade you will gain access to a new general: Nobunaga in gunpowder, Napoleon in enlightenment, MacArthur in industrial and Churchill in global age. There's currently no upgrade for the atomic age. You can level your generals by going to the blacksmith and then going for generals. And you see over here, all generals cost a specific amount. The time for upgrading a general is initially 4 hours, up from level 5, 8 hours, I think, and from level 10, 1 day, and later 2 days, I think, but I'm not quite sure. Alexander, Nobunaga, Cleopatra, and Jeanne d'Arc cost food up to level 10. I think Napoleon always, I'm not quite sure, I think up to level 5 costs food and then oil, but it could also be that Napoleon completely costs oil. MacArthur and Churchill cost completely for every level oil, and the amount of oil you have to spend for every research is just increasing. You see, my generals are nearly all at level 12, so for level 13 I have to spend 43,000 oil for each upgrade, so for each level. And when you have your generals at level 40, probably, you have to pay over 220,000 oil for each upgrade. So very, very oil expensive. There's also another nice thing. The current maximum level for our generals are level 50 in atomic, level 40 in global, and level 30, I think, in the industrial age. So level 20 is the maximum for enlightenment age. When your generals are getting now from enlightenment age maximum, level 20, to level 21, all of these guys, which are just now riding on a pony, just are getting some tanks. So all of them will drive tanks from level 21 above, and you also will get some nation-specific tanks. For example, Napoleon is French. He will very obviously, he is just using a French tank, and so this is also historically very correct. There's another thing, another trivia about the castle, in which is right belonging to the generals. Ordinary, you see, all buildings are just depending on the stage of age they are upgraded in. And you see, for example, the tower always has some marksmen on it, which are depending on their stage of upgrade. My Enlightenment Age tower has Enlightenment Age maxed out ranged infantry. So Enlightenment Age infantry is musketeers, and it has some musketeers on top of it. Now the castle always has a bug. On top of the castle as defenders, some guys are standing which are 2 ages below their current status. This means my castle is industrial age maxed out. Industrial age maxed out ranged troops are riflemen, but instead of riflemen, some arquebusiers, so gunpowder age troops, are staying on top. This is what I mean. They are 2 ages below their current status. If you upgrade your castle to global stage, you will get some Enlightenment Age musketeers on top of it. If you upgrade to atomic age, you will get some industrial age riflemen. I already messaged the customer support of Nexon, but they didn't react. I don't know that. I think they did not take it serious what I told them about this. But I think it's very pity, because everything is very detailed except for the castle. But now let's also go on. Let's talk about our generals. You can do some very nice research for your generals inside the library. And there you see first, stage 5 of your library, the book over here, Leadership, I think it's called in English. And you see 5 chapters. First chapter, plus 10% increase on the health of your generals. Chapter 2, your defenders, which are coming with your generals from the castle. There are some defenders which are coming from the castle when your generals are getting triggered. Chapter 3, train a second general with some oil, so you can use 2 instead of 1 general from the Enlightenment Age above. even for offensive as well as for defense purpose. That's very cool. Chapter 4, plus 10% attack of generals. In Chapter 5, plus 15% general attack versus other generals. So in total, we have a very strong increase over here, even from 1 up to 2 generals you can use. The next chapter for generals is quite in the global age, the command chapter. I'm not quite sure whether it's called this in English. You see, first, reducing the cooldown time for your generals about 1 hour. That means if your generals fall or even die in offensive way, they will only be disabled for 23 hours instead of 24, and if they are getting killed in defensive, they only have cooldown for 7 instead of 8 hours. Your defenders, which are coming from the castle, getting Gatling guns, and that's a really, really strong chapter due to the fact that you probably know Gatling guns or even machine guns are some factory troops, and these troops have not a huge range. They only have a range of 3, but this range, within this range, all enemy troops are getting slowed down, and even their damage is getting decreased. That means suppression, and it's very strong because they are some kind of mobile caltrops or even barbed wire. Very strong. Chapter 3 is reducing the cooldown time of your generals about another hour, so you can get your generals back in 22 hours offensive dying and 6 hours when they died defensive. Chapter 4, build or even train a third general with oil, and that's very huge because if you have researched this in World War, always 3 generals will be active at your castle, and you can just activate 3 ones to attack or even to defend your base layout. There also another trivia: if you got to the atomic age, you can just use the Pentagon as 5th world wonder in the game, and within the Pentagon you are able to get in defensive way 4 generals with 1 additional general on the Pentagon. That's really crazy. The Pentagon also has the same range of your castle, only nice to know. Chapter 5, reducing the oil training cost for all of your generals. The higher your generals are, the higher the training costs are getting, and if you want to activate 3 generals, it costs a lot, and so this 5th chapter is really useful. Here we are at my little graphic, guys, and even girls. I have prepared this graphic to show you very obviously what are the advantages as well as disadvantages of every general. Let's start with characterizing all generals in the original order in which you get access to them. So start with Alexander. Alexander has a quite ordinary or general offensive, no special meaning. He has quite some good defensive due to the fact that he has some more hit points than all other generals have in average. His range is nothing special, it's only melee range. Let's go to Jeanne d'Arc. Jeanne d'Arc has quite a very, very poor offensive, but therefore a very, very the strongest defensive of all generals I have access to. I did not research for Churchill, but I think Jeanne d'Arc has the highest defensive in game. The range is also only melee. Let's go for Cleopatra. Cleopatra has a boosted offensive. The defensive is just very ordinary and the range is only melee. Nobunaga is a very strong general. He has a boosted offensive, a little bit minor defensive, so a weaker defensive, and at least only melee range. Then we come to Napoleon. Napoleon in total has less hit points than all other generals as well as less damage, but therefore he has a 5 range. That means he's nearly out of range of all defensive buildings or of most defensive buildings, and he's also out of range from this defensive buildings, which can be really harmful to him because generals are also like tanks, are single troops with very high hit points, so they are vulnerable to cannon towers, and cannon towers have not enough range to reach your Napoleon, so Napoleon is out of the range of the onlyest building which can really harm him. That makes he a very him a very strong general, nevertheless that he has only a little hit points and a little damage. MacArthur is the strongest general in game if you are outgoing from, or even depending on the offensive, and he has the littlest defensive at all. If you are now questioning or asking yourself what's this red signs or is this red numbers here are on top, these are some coefficients I got by some mathematical operations, and I divided up the hit points by the attack of each general to get a specific relation of attack points to of hit points to the attack. And now you can compare every general in total, because you can say if a general has a count above 50, he is quite a very defensive general, and if he has an account or even a quotient below 50, he is a very offensive general. And you can see Alexander, like I told you, is a quite moderate general, due to the fact that he is nearly at 50. From all generals, he's the closest to 50 at all. That means he has a very moderate hit point relation to his offensive, to his DPS, damage per second. Jeanne d'Arc, like I told you, has the highest count or the highest quotient by 62, and so the relation between hit points and damage is very, very strong towards your hit points. A tank general. Cleopatra has a very low count, nearly 11, below 50. That means she's very strong in attack but very weak in defense, and that's also very obvious if we compare her to Jeanne d'Arc, which is quite the opposite. You see, Jeanne d'Arc I took the worst of all generals from level 13. From level 12, I think, yes, from level 12, so you can just explorate them for higher generals as well as for lower generals, because the worst or the numbers over here are changing, but the relation between the numbers, the relation between hit points and attack will be always the same. So you see at level 12, Jeanne d'Arc has nearly 24,000 hit points. Our Cleopatra has 4,400 hit points, nearly less, but therefore Jeanne d'Arc only has 385 attack and Cleopatra nearly has 500, so 120 attack less than Cleopatra, and that's exactly the difference between these quotients over here. Next, Nobunaga. Nobunaga is even as more offensive as Cleopatra is, because you can see the count is 10 lower than the count of Cleopatra, and total nearly 21 below 50. That means he has still less hit points, but more attacks than Cleopatra in total, and it's getting even more obvious if you compare him to Jeanne d'Arc. He has about nearly 8,000 less hit points than Jeanne d'Arc, but nearly 200 attack more, so very offensive general. Now you get to Napoleon. Napoleon has quite nearly the same worth or the same values like Cleopatra, due to the fact that he's also at 93, nearly at 40, so 10 below 50. He's a moderate offensive general, so a little bit more offensive than moderate, but in total we have to remember that he is very strong only because of his range, but very weak from his values. You see, he has the same quotient like Cleopatra with 39, but his hit points are 3,000 below, and his damage also is 70 below Cleopatra. So he's in total very much weaker, but his 5 range is his very strong value. At least you see MacArthur. MacArthur is the most unbalanced general, because he's very, very strong, but has also very little hit points. Let's compare it to our tank general, Jeanne d'Arc. He has about 10,000 less hit points, so he's nearly, not completely, only at 60% of Jeanne d'Arc's hit points, but therefore he has nearly 75, even 80% more damage. So in total we can stay and say moderate general is Alexander, tank general is our Jeanne d'Arc, A little bit offensive general is our Cleopatra. Very offensive general is our Nobunaga. A weak offense general with very high range is our Napoleon. And a complete beast berserk general is our MacArthur. Now you can just think about how to use your generals due to the fact that you can use 1 if you are an Enlightenment Age and have research 2. And in Global Age you can even use 3 generals to attack. You can just use some constellations and choose which generals are best for you. In total, I can only recommend for you, because I'm using this Napoleon due to his huge range. He's very imbalanced, very strong, and I'm also using MacArthur due to the fact that he has quite enough hit points, but a very strong offensive and can break through walls very, very easily. Now we are coming to the latest part of my update or even guide video about generals, and now I will give you some recommendations. Probably some guys of you are some symmetrical nerds. I, for example, and don't misunderstand me, I'm a symmetrical Nazi, we have to say in Germany, because I need everything very symmetrical. You see, my base is very symmetrical. I have leveled all of my troops. I want to max out in my age. I don't want to rush and something like this. This is just only due to my psychological character. But also I started and upgraded all of my generals very, very equally. You can see over here all of my generals are at level 12, if not even level 11. We have Cleopatra and Jeanne d'Arc level 11, all of the others level 12. So very symmetrical leveling of all generals. But now there is a very huge advantage. There are 2 huge advantages if you just not level your generals equally, if you just prefer some of your generals. The first advantage is if you go to the World War, you probably see that your castle always contains your 2, or even if you have researched, 3 highest generals you can have. So if you have all of your generals leveled the same, only 2 of them will be taken and staying inside your castle. But all of the other generals are nearly wasted for your defense. If you have now upgraded 2 or even 3 or even 1 generals depending on your research at a very high maximum, and all of the other generals a little bit less, you have your strongest generals at the castle and nearly all of your research is just working for your defense. That's the first very good aspect. The second aspect is if you are now going to level your generals and you are saying, hey, okay, my research in the blacksmith ended and I can upgrade the next general, you probably see, okay, my amount of oil is not enough to upgrade one of my strongest generals. Yes, but no problem. My other generals are that much low, not leveled, that the amount I need to upgrade them is very low. I can just upgrade them. But if you have all of the generals at the same stage, like I have currently, you see, you can have 40, above 40,000, and then you can choose which general to upgrade, or even you have below 40,000, and then you can't upgrade any general at all. So there are 2 huge advantages, and I hopefully explained it good enough so that you could understand me, why it's very sensible to upgrade your generals not symmetrical, just prefer some of your generals. So guys, in total, I hope I did not miss or even, yes, I did not miss any of the points and explained it very understandable. Give me some feedbacks down in the comment section. We'll see us with my second World War attack, your domination tips.